Hello, welcome back to Library Says. My name is Jamie, and today I'm coming to you with my backlist readathon wrap-up from my mother's back porch. So to get some obvious stuff out of the way first, why am I on my mother's back porch? Today is Monday, March 16th, and I'm off work today because I worked the weekend. Meanwhile, my sister is having to work from home because of COVID-19. We share 800 square feet, so it isn't all that feasible for her to work and me to film in the same area, same space, even with a closed door between us. So I'm spending the day with my mother. I'm at her house right now. She has a screened-in back porch with lovely views and plenty of sunlight, and I'm gonna film here. I'm sorry if you can hear the birds. They're just, but we're just making sacrifices. Anyway, so here we go with my wrap up for the backlist readathon. You might notice that I did not have a TBR or any sort of vlogs for this readathon. I was not planning on doing it. I woke up the morning of the first day of the readathon and thought, I should do this readathon. So I scrambled to put together a TBR, just like a working TBR for myself. And then I started vlogging, and I thought I would do vlogs like I did for Contemporary-a-thon, where I did the first couple of days as one vlog, second couple of days as one vlog, and the last few days as a vlog, instead of daily or one lump vlog. It was garbage, guys, just garbage. I spared you from the terrible vlog content you would have been getting. Exhibit A. Instead, I continued to read and try and mark off all of my challenges without vlogging, with the intention of just wrapping it all up. When I was done, here we are. I have my notes. A quick reminder of all of the challenges that you're trying to meet with Backlist Readathon. The shortest book on your backlist, a recommendation from someone else on your backlist, a book on your backlist that intimidates you, the book on your backlist you're most excited to read, and a diverse book on your backlist. And the last challenge is a title from your backlist with blue on the cover. For the purposes of this readathon, backlist means anything that came out 2019 or earlier that you want to read. I started with The River by Peter Heller. This is an adventure, outdoorsy, survival thriller in theory. Unfortunately, I was bored to tears. If I hadn't been reading this as a recommendation from a friend, that's the challenge this one met, and I wasn't reading it for a readathon, I would have DNF'd it. I read this via audiobook. It's a short book. It's only 7 hours, the audio. And the first 6 hours, we're introduced to things that should be thrilling, but are not. There's a wildfire racing up behind them. There is a possible murderer in the woods looking for them, who might be trying to kill them. They're dragging that murderer's wife, who is semi-conscious and beat to heck, around with them in the woods trying to keep her alive. There are these two other backwoods sort of rednecks in the woods who may or may not be really bad dudes. There are bears and other wild animals. Meanwhile, they're running low on supplies. Like, this should have been nonstop action, and it wasn't. It was nonstop descriptions of the woods, of the camping supplies, long forays, just tangents into the past about them growing up in the two main characters growing up in Colorado, one of them, Vermont in the other, and their childhoods and nostalgia. So I did enjoy the end. The last hour of the audiobook is all that action I thought I was getting. Just packed one thing after the next, a pretty shocking turn of events at the end, and I did enjoy that. So for that reason, I did decide to give it 3 stars, and I checked off a recommendation from a friend. Next up, I read We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is an essay. Because it's an essay, it was easily the shortest book on my TBR, on my backlist. It was incredible. Highly recommended. It's obviously a nonfiction essay about why everyone should be a feminist. If you haven't read it already, you should. This marked off shortest book on my backlist and also diverse read, because Chimamanda is a person of color. So if you haven't read this one, check it out, and I give it 5 stars. After that, I decided to read The Hunter by Kerrigan Byrne, which is the second book in a historical romance series. I read the first book last year. It was called The Highwayman, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. So The Hunter, the second book in the series, was easily the book on my backlist I was most excited to read. So I was reading it for that challenge. I did enjoy it a whole heck of a lot. All of the heroes of these romance novels have been through some pretty intense trauma, and I will tell you that the prologue to this book is so gritty and so dark and so potentially triggering. I highly recommend you look up some of the content warnings for this, because while the rest of the book really wasn't that bad, there is rape, there is abuse, death of a parent on page, like really horrible. And it is utilized. It's not just there for shock and awe. It really informs that character for the rest of the book and is done in a really good way, I think. Like, she strongly wrote that character and his reactions to the trauma. But it is rough. Once you get through the prologue, though, you really, like, it takes off. So anyone who says historical romance is fluff, not if you read this series. But I did love it. Not quite as much as whatever the magic was that I just was obsessed with The Highwayman. This had it less, but I still really loved it. I read it very quickly, powered through, easy, 4 stars, and that marked off the book I was most excited to read on my backlist. This is where it all went downhill. With the pandemic, with the hysteria, I've had some stressful times. I'm a public librarian. We have remained open to the public up until this point. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of stress, and I honestly just didn't want to read anything but sort of escapist books, which for me is romance. That's all I want to read. And after I read The Hunter, the idea of starting any of the other books I had picked for my TBR was just unfathomable. I just couldn't imagine picking up a thriller, picking up a mystery, picking up poetry, picking up like sort of hard-hitting literary fiction, which is some of the things I was thinking about reading for the rest of the readathon. So instead of reading any of those books I had planned, I jumped into book 3 of this historical romance series by Kerrigan Byrne, which is called The Highlander, and it has blue on the cover, so I decided I would count it for that challenge, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, read it very quickly, more gritty, characters dealing with actual trauma, treated with appropriate gravity. Very readable though, and the romance is very emotional and very swoony. And from there, I just completely diverged from the plan, and I read Down and Dirty by Kendall Ryan, which is a contemporary hockey romance. It in no way meets any of the challenges for this readathon, as far as I can tell. I don't even think it was backlist. I think it might have come out in 2020. Just completely not part of this challenge. I did start The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which I was going to read to count for the backlist title that intimidates you challenge, because I've been putting off reading The Alchemist for ages. It's a very short book, like it would be a very quick read, and I know people love it, but something about it really intimidates me. I made it 20% of the way into it. I have every intention of finishing it, but I did not finish it in time for this readathon. I just have made my peace with that. But that means that I did not actually complete this readathon. I did not finish all of the challenges, and I just don't feel all that bad about it. If you did finish this readathon, if you completed all of the challenges, awesome. I am proud of you. I'm pretty proud of everything I accomplished, all things considered, and I had a lot of fun. And I would definitely participate in this readathon again next year if it happens, which I hope it does. So that's it. That's all for me for the backlist readathon, and that's everything I've read this week. If you participated in this readathon and want me to check out your videos, please let me know down below, or if you want to tell me about the books that you read and which challenges you met, I would love to discuss them. Otherwise, my links to Goodreads and Twitter are in the description box, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!